Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you now straight from the headquarters of the Topkats Pride, is presented the unusual but factual and oftentimes controversial Wild News, featuring various international reports that will inform you and keep you in the know while you're on the go. And now, your Wild News reporter, Q. Pate. Welcome to the Wild News Report. I'm Otis Q. Pate, and I've come here today to share a little epiphany with you that came to me just this morning, ever since I posted a video about a week ago, or maybe a little bit longer than a week, in reference to the customs officials and the Border Patrol of the United States being ordered to stand down by the U.S. officials. That was here in February 2016. So if you'd like to see that video, it is on the channel, and it's very important. But this epiphany that I had, y'all, had to do with the reason that the authorities of our country, why they are authorizing, ordering this to be reality. Because actually the border, as you probably know, has been pretty unsecure in most people's, well, at least most people that I talk to. In their opinions, the border has been pretty unsecure. And I think the reason that this is because of a little thing, well, a little big thing, a little word, but a big situation called NAFTA. Now, NAFTA is a acronym for North American Free Trade Agreement. North America Free Trade Agreement. And I would like to encourage you to look up all the things that I'm telling you, especially if you're concerned about the southern border of the United States, which borders Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California being unsecure. Well, NAFTA has a lot to do with this, and ever since December 17th, 1992, during the presidency of George Herbert Walker Bush, this statute, this law has been in force. Again, that's since 1992. So here in February 2016, this has been quite some time.
Bush picked an appropriately symbolic setting today to sign the North American Free Trade Agreement between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. He was at the headquarters of the Organization of American States in Washington. The agreement will create a free trade zone throughout North America. The agreement was also signed in Mexico City by President Salinas and in Ottawa by the Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. Governor Clinton has endorsed the free trade agreement but says he would like better protection for American workers.
Now, NAFTA has a few other statutes, a few other planned operations that are in the same bundle, if you will, like the NAFTA Superhighway. And the NAFTA Superhighway is used to refer to certain existing and proposed highways that sprawl throughout the USA and connects the US with Mexico and Canada for business. NAFTA has to do with business, of course. Also in the bundle is CANAMEX corridor, the CANAMEX corridor. And that's a corridor linking Canada to Mexico through the US, and this was established under NAFTA. Included in this bundle of joy as well is NASCO, another acronym for you, which stands for the North American Supercorridor, and this is a coalition, so it's normally titled the North American Supercorridor Coalition, and that again is NASCO. Now, there's a website for those of you who want to delve into more information surrounding this, and if you go to growthnetworld.com, you can fill yourself up with all the facts and all the intelligence that surround this current ongoing situation that has been in force at least for 23 to 24 years here in February 2016. NASCO also seems to have, well, from my research, another organization with the same acronym name called the North American Strategy for Competitiveness. And if you would like to delve into that website, more information, more intelligence, etc., you can go to NASCOnetwork.com. NASCOnetwork.com. And NASCO, well, you know, both of them, NASCO North American Supercorridor Coalition and NASCO North American Strategy for Competitiveness, these were founded in 1994. So again, it's been quite some time. So this is on the books since George Herbert Walker Bush, the former president of the United States, signed these statutes into force. Encompassing all of that now, wait for it, all of these things that I just mentioned have to do with the NAU. Now, I know you're saying, well, what's the NAU? It's the North American Union. The North American Union, which encompasses Mexico, southern border, wide open, Border Patrol, customs officials told to stand down as of February 2016, United States, and Canada. These three countries will encompass the NAU, the North American Union. Now, the North American Union is also supposed to have a currency. But let me just mention this to you. The NAU is based pretty much on the EU. So what's the EU, right? The EU is the European Union. The European Union, which came into force November 1st, 1993. And I hope you're seeing the little pattern here. But the new money for the EU, the European Union, wasn't released to the public until 2002. So about 20 years, 19 years, 20 years later. So all of these things have been in force for quite some time. And even before that, probably for at least 10 to 20 years, if not longer, has been planned by our officials that decide on, what's the best business schematic, the best business objectives to put together in order to increase the gross national product, the GNP. So the North American Union, the NAU, is supposed to have a currency, as I mentioned. And this proposed currency is supposed to be the Amero when the NAU comes into force, if it ever comes into force. This is all written down. If you research this information, the words that I'm giving you, you'll see that this very much seems like it's gonna come along, especially when you take into consideration that the EU has the same situation as far as the borders, because when the EU was established, the borders in Europe between Germany, Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, France, Poland, Denmark, all of these borders were gotten rid of. They were discontinued. So this seems to be the same thing with the border in the United States, the southern border being, well, wide open. So to me, that border too has been gotten rid of. I don't know. Seems like I'm on to something here. But the NAU is supposed to have the Amero, or the other name that I found through the research is the North American dollar. So either it'll be the Amero or the North American dollar. Now, with all of this, in the bundle, what this all has to do with, ultimately, in my opinion, is the Supercorridor. Now, the Supercorridor is a new type of transportation infrastructure in the US that uses a fairly large area of land, about 370 meters or 405 yards wide. 370 meters wide or 405 yards wide. And also that equates to about 4 football fields wide, not counting the end zones. But this infrastructure will be that large, and it will carry on the parallel links of the freeways. Also will be rails and utility lines. So the Supercorridor, again, I would like to encourage everyone that's interested in this information in the borders of the United States and the developments that have been released internationally concerning the southern border of the US, to do your research and look up these terms that I just gave you. NAFTA Superhighway, CANAMEX Corridor, NASCO, the NAU currency, which is Amero, or the North American dollar, not and, but or the North American dollar, and last but certainly not least, the Supercorridor. Since 1992, since the President Herbert Walker Bush was in office, this has been in effect. And I think now what we're witnessing at the southern border of the United States has to do with everything becoming reality. So there you have it. That's the epiphany that I wanted to share with you. Please research it, and I think you will find that that's pretty much what is going on. And of course I could elaborate more on why Canada is not allowing illegals to flow into the country, pour into the country, but that will be for another video. But I'm sure you could all come to a conclusion on why Canada is not allowing that and why America is allowing that. Anyway, my name is Otis Q. Pate, here for the Wild Report, and I'd like to thank you for joining me. Please come back and check out the next report. Until next time, take care.
This is truck traffic at the border crossing in Laredo, Texas. More than $3 billion worth of imports pass through this crossing alone every month, all headed north. Since the implementation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, the flow of imports from Mexico to the United States has exploded by more than 400% at just the Laredo crossing, as American manufacturers have rushed to take advantage of Mexico's cheap labor.
Ford Motor Company has made a decision to invest $9 billion in Mexico. And what this highway provides is a way for them to bring goods into the United States to be sold here with none of the jobs being located here.
The highway she's referring to is actually several different projects collectively known as the NAFTA Superhighway. The routes are a combination of existing roads, planned expansion of others, new roads, and rail lines. The project's funded with a mix of private, state, and federal funds. The trade route begins at Mexico's ports on the west coast and runs all the way up to Kansas City, to facilities being developed there known as the KC Smart Port. The project's aimed to expedite trade flow. The combination of reduced inspections at the borders, insurging Chinese goods coming through Mexican ports are raising concerns about security.
The Bush administration is not serious about border security. They are not serious about port security. When we talk about a super port controlled by Mexico, this is Dubai all over again. We stopped Dubai, but this is another way to take it out of the purview of Congress.
And while proponents tout the benefit of capitalizing on the trade flow, critics see a darker reality.
This country is the world's import sponge. That's our main role in the world economy nowadays. And this NAFTA superhighway will make that sponge a great deal more porous.
And it reduces economic growth to a reliance on infrastructure development driven by our need for imports.